Tonight, the courage of her convictions.
I'm angry with Hezbollah. Hell opened its doors. It was terrible.
Blown up, bloodied, but not beaten.
They intended to silence me.
And the return of the legendary Cossacks.
These horsemen have been filling the hearts of their enemies with fear for centuries.
Defenders or vigilantes in Putin's new Russia. Hello and welcome to Foreign Correspondent. I'm Mark Corcoran in Beirut, a city trapped in a war between a nation, Israel, and a movement, the Islamic fighters of Hezbollah. It's a war that's claimed 1,000 Lebanese and Israeli lives and left 1 million people displaced. Tonight, the story of an extraordinary comeback of one of Lebanon's best-known public figures who, barely recovered from the wounds of one conflict, now finds herself swept up in the chaos of another. As the aircraft taxis into Beirut airport, there's no hint of the catastrophe about to engulf Lebanon. All eyes are on May Chidiac, enjoying a triumphant homecoming. One of the best-known faces on Lebanese TV, this outspoken political broadcaster moves with a determined shuffle. The legacy of an assassination attempt that left her horribly maimed, losing a leg and an arm. Now she's finally back, after 8 months of painful recuperation in France.
I was a little bit not afraid, but anxious. I wanted to get down from the airplane and to take the stairs with confidence. I didn't want anybody to see me falling, for example. Whenever the door was open and I saw all the people waiting for me, I was so touched.
May Chidiac believes she was targeted for criticising the Syrians, key power brokers of Lebanese politics. Greeted by cabinet ministers, colleagues and family, she remains defiant.
تقطع بعض أجزائي ولكن مي شيدياء ما زالت مي شيدياء رجل اصطناعية ولكن العقل هو العقل يد اصطناعية ولكن القلب هو القلب جروح في الجسد.
A devout Maronite Christian, her first stop is this monastery, the very place where she nearly died. In a country deeply fractured by religious divide, May Chidiac was part of a movement that united Christian and Muslim. It was called the Cedar Revolution, a massive display of national outrage, triggered by the assassination last year of Lebanon's popular former Prime Minister, Rafik Hariri. Syria, whose troops had occupied Lebanon for 3 decades, was blamed for his murder. The momentum of the Cedar Revolution finally forced the Syrian army to withdraw. But as the widows at this service could bitterly attest, 11 other prominent critics of Syria were also killed in a wave of car bombings. They were all men. Despite death threats, May Chidiac believed she was safe, protected by an informal code of chivalry.
I considered myself spared because first I was a woman. It's the first time they attack a woman in Lebanon. I'm the only one and I hope I will be the last one.
One evening last September, as she left the monastery and got into her car, a kilo of plastic explosive under the driver's seat was detonated.
When I closed the door, they decided to push the button to provoke the explosion. They didn't know that they didn't notice maybe that I was turning toward the back seat.
It was that movement that shielded her from the full force of the blast.
I didn't know by that time that my leg was cut, and I didn't know that I was about to lose my hand and my arm also, because I used all the effort I had to push myself out of the car. I was afraid that there will be a fire in the car. I stayed 2 months at the hospital in Lebanon. I had 25 surgeries. I had very difficult time here in Lebanon. And then I was transported to France.
The attack brought protesters onto the streets carrying balloons, all of them pink, her trademark colour. Even those opposed to her politics came out in solidarity.
The prime suspect in all those, including in Prime Minister Hariri's assassination, is still the Syrian regime. Targeting May was an attempt to get people to simply say, we've had it, we can't do anything anymore. And this is why, first, the fact that May survived and the horror of the attempt made people produce the exact opposite reaction, which is a reaction of great indignation and solidarity, including people who, of course, disagreed with May.
No one was arrested for the attack, and the Syrian government denied involvement. For May, the message was brutally clear.
They intended to silence me, to explain to the others, to all the other Lebanese people, that they can silence everybody.
Now, after an extraordinary recovery, she's back. But this joyous reunion is to be short-lived. Just 2 days after her return, Israeli bombs begin falling on Beirut.
Hell opened its doors. It was terrible, but I heard about the Hezbollah imprisoning the 2 Israeli soldiers and the operation he did in the south, but we were not expecting such a reply and an answer from the Israelis. It was above all the expectations. They destroyed the whole country.
With Lebanon plunging into another crisis, May decides to go back on air as soon as possible. She now travels flanked by bodyguards, a reluctant concession to the realities of public life.
I have to get used to the new situation. I prefer to be independent. I have always been so much independent, but I have no choice. I'm anxious also about the reaction of the people watching me. They are expecting a lot from me, and I hope I'll be on the same level as their expectations.
May is welcomed back to the Lebanese Broadcasting Corporation, the LBC, where she's worked as a journalist for 20 years. The LBC was established during the Civil War as a propaganda outlet for the Lebanese Forces Christian militia. Since then, it's evolved into one of the most watched networks in the Middle East and transmitted to the Lebanese diaspora around the world. Now, May Chidiac, the woman hailed as a living martyr, has returned to the hot seat.
مساء الخير. 25 أيلول 2005 25 تموز 2006 10 أشهر عذراً على التأخير. طالت الغيبة ولكنكم تعرفون وتعذرون.
And there's only one topic of discussion, the war.
قد تكون هناك قوافل أكبر من الشهداء ومحاولة أكبر لاغتيال لبنان. ولكن من رحم الآلام ستكون الولادة.
She confronted the Syrians in her typically forceful style. Now May Chidiac treads where few other public figures dare, taking on the militants of Hezbollah, whom she blames for starting this war.
Yes, I'm angry with Hezbollah because they took this decision by their own. They didn't discuss about it with anybody. They took the whole country as a hostage to reach what they wanted. But it was miscalculated, and this is what I'm saying. I'm not against them. I'm against what they did, what they provoked.
Well, the war may be continuing, but in North Beirut, people are attempting to regain some sense of normality in their lives. The cafes are filling, the shops are open, and Beirut's familiar traffic jams have returned. But barely 2 kilometres south of the city centre, it's like you're in a different country. This is a domain of Hezbollah, and have invited us down to witness the impact, if you like, of the continued airstrikes, because this is the area that the Israelis continue to pound. Hezbollah, or the Party of God, sees itself as the guardian of Lebanon's Shia Muslims. The movement has control over South Beirut and parts of southern Lebanon. Its authority here now is absolute. We're directed to film rubble, not Hezbollah officials. Today, the streets are deserted. 200,000 residents have been evacuated on Hezbollah's orders. Still, this man claims there have been casualties here. Some people simply refuse to leave their homes.
في منطقة تانية هناك تحت هون دقيقتين بس مشوار الطريق دقيقتين. 5 عيال تحت البناية. نزلت عليهم البناية كلياتها استهدفوها المنطقة كلياتها هونيك. بعضهم هونيك. تحت نزلت عليهم البناية مثل ما هي.
This area is known to all Beirutis as the security zone, where Hezbollah's administrative and political headquarters are located, among the residential towers. Hezbollah claims there was nothing surgical about this airstrike, that the Israelis dropped a huge bomb that sucked the oxygen out of the air.
هيدا المجمع سيد الشهداء.
هيدا مجمع، ضربوه فراغي هن ضربوه. نزلوا على حالهم.
It was hit by a vacuum bomb.
What is a vacuum bomb?
شو هي فراغية؟ شو يعني فراغية؟
يعني بتسحب الأكسجين هي.
اوكي.
ما بتقطعها بتسحب الأكسجين من الباب التربة بيقولوا على حاله.
اوكي.
بنطحن يعني حتى بالشظايا.
Unseen, high in the sky, we hear a pilotless Israeli surveillance drone hunting for targets.
It's just observing the area.
Right.
Okay.
Do they ever get any warning?
المقصد الكلام انه مشان انا ما بدي شو اسمه المقصد الكلام انه مشان انه في عندهم رحمه ما عم بيميزوا.
They are warning us that maybe it's a little bit dangerous to stay here because there are airplanes around, so they may hit.
Back at the LBC, May prepares for another show. With her movement severely impaired, she relies on reporters, such as Bassam Abu Zaid, to be her eyes and ears. Today's assignment, to report the growing refugee crisis. Nearly 1 million people, a quarter of Lebanon's population, have been forced to flee their homes. Bassam visits one of 150 schools in Beirut, now operating as refugee centres.
We have here in this school 460 people. And here the Caritas, this is a organization, Lebanese organization, and they will do it everything to bring help for these people, especially for children.
The sick and elderly are clearly bewildered. Lebanon's deep sectarian divide is forgotten as Catholic nuns help Shia Muslims, many of whom are passionate supporters of Hezbollah. Mona Quake, a South Beirut primary school teacher, has been here for 15 days now. Your house, is it still standing or has it been destroyed?
Until now, we didn't know anything about our house because it's dangerous to walk there because Israeli attack will be by surprise. You don't know when.
For the poor of South Beirut, the Hezbollah activists have always been more than just fighters. They provided social services, which the government couldn't or wouldn't. Community support has been translated to growing political power, and 2 Hezbollah members serve in the Lebanese cabinet.
They think that if they destroy building, they destroy Hezbollah. It's false. Hezbollah in every one of us, because he defends in our land. If Israeli people think like that, they're stupid, because Hezbollah in every one of us, not in building, in stones, in our soul.
And for those who have lost everything, this is a potent symbol of that struggle. The Hezbollah channel, Al-Manar TV, still defiantly broadcasting from a secret location after an Israeli airstrike destroyed the station.
It's the secret of success of Hezbollah. Look, if even they destroy the station of Hezbollah, they will be, I will say to Hezbollah, come to my house and make a station. It's not a problem.
Hezbollah isn't the only target. High above the city lies the wreckage of LBC's transmission tower, hit by Israeli missiles. A colleague of Bassam's died under the rubble here.
The Israelis, they said they are targeting the towers of TVs, and for the mobile phone, they're speaking about the Hezbollah, they are using this towers, but it's not true. It's not true.
The LBC has managed to stay on air, but much of Lebanon's infrastructure now lies in ruins. 80% of major roads have been cut. Schools, hospitals and airports bombed. How much damage has been done in infrastructure to Lebanon so far? Yeah,
in Lebanon?
In this war, in the last couple of weeks.
The government said today $2.02 billion.
Before the war, Hezbollah proudly marched down the same South Beirut streets that are now reduced to rubble. Under the peace deal that ended Lebanon's 15-year civil war in 1990, Hezbollah was the only faction, outside the weak National Army, permitted to keep its weapons. Chidiac says this concession is still deeply resented by many.
I'm not against Hezbollah because they are a part of Lebanon. They are a big community in Lebanon. But what I'm against is that I cannot understand why do they have to keep their weapons and be the only one who can decide for the whole country.
But many Lebanese disagree. At a rally in downtown Beirut, the yellow flags of Hezbollah are flying. But so too are those of a number of Lebanon's other political factions. For this crowd, the war is now a patriotic defence of the homeland, with Hezbollah holding its own against Israel's military might, something that no Arab National Army has done in decades. Their hero, Hezbollah leader Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah. They're closely watched by troops of Lebanon's National Army, which has stayed out of the conflict. No Lebanese government dares order the military to disarm Hezbollah, fearing such a move would fragment the army along religious lines and spark another civil war. Ibrahim al-Masawi, international editor of Hezbollah's Al-Manar TV, claims 80% of the country now backs the struggle, and that Chidiac has got it wrong.
I'm sorry for what happened to her. She's a colleague in the whatever, but I believe maybe she's under tremendous effect because what happened to her. But you can't go and talk to the people that Hezbollah represent. You're talking about 1.5 million people. You go ask them. They tell you, we're ready to sacrifice our blood, our families, our houses for the sake of Hezbollah and Nasrallah.
But with Iran and Syria supplying the missiles that rain down on Israel, Chidiac asks, who is Hezbollah really fighting for?
But the question in the mind of many Lebanese people and politicians to whom Hezbollah will offer this victory. To Lebanon or to Syria and Iran.
May draws her strength from her family. Her sisters and mother act as confidants and advisors. They've encouraged her through a turbulent career, nursed her through a long rehabilitation, and seem slightly apprehensive over what the future holds.
Yes, it's very risky, but she loves her work, and we are proud of her because maybe she has been attacked because she was special.
Do you worry about her?
Yes, of course, but I'm always with her when she goes to her work, so I don't know if...
You have to worry also about yourself now.
I'm always with her, so I have to worry about myself too.
May Chidiac is now considering a political career with one of the Christian factions. Even those not impressed by her politics feel she still has a lot to offer Lebanon.
May doesn't come from a political family. I think it would always be beneficial for somebody like May, from her background, to represent whatever she wants to represent. I would like to see a woman who is there also to represent women problems rather than simply play the politician.
She's never balked at giving her opinion, regardless of the consequences. But for May Chidiac and Lebanon, these are indeed dangerous times.
And if something bad will arrive to me again, I don't know. This will be my destiny. I cannot say anything else because I cannot be afraid of the future. I cannot be afraid of being attacked again. I'm still thinking that I had a cause to defend. It's a cause of Lebanon.
And our next story tonight comes from southern Russia, where the Cossacks are back in the saddle. They're the Kremlin's new frontline troops, but are they defenders or vigilantes? Emma Griffiths reports on persecution in the name of the motherland.
Their battlefield skills are legendary. These horsemen have been filling the hearts of their enemies with fear for centuries.
Для меня это, я не знаю, по-моему, самое лучшее в жизни. Конь, шашки, ветер в лицо, вот это вот для казака.
Забей! На боевой, на боевой, на боевой!
Though long repressed under communism, Russia's Cossacks have returned as defenders of their motherland.
Порядочность, честность, трудолюбивость и воинственность. Вот так бы я характеризовал.
15 years after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Cossacks are back. In this volatile region, they are the keepers of law and order, a job they say they were born to do. But their renewed power has a dark side. Some believe that Russia's courageous warriors are nothing but vigilantes who are now bullying their weaker neighbours. It's an old Cossack greeting between a commander and his soldiers. Alexander Kalyakin and his charges are more than just skilled equestrians. As Cossacks, they're not ethnically different to Russians, but they do see themselves as a distinct clan of warriors.
Так, взвод, становись!
These Cossacks formed themselves into a militia, their self-anointed role to protect the Russian homeland.
Приказываю приступить к охране общественного порядка по городу Ростову-на-Дону. Вот, марш!
Rostov-on-Don in southern Russia is the hub of the Cossack lands. A city of 1 million people, its streets are patrolled by Kalyakins Cossacks. They now have the legal power to question and detain.
Тех казаков. И мы стараемся, как говорится, держать марку наших прадедов и дедов. Но на данный момент мы рады проявить себя, вот именно быть полезным обществу, вот казакам, вот, неся службу по поддержанию правопорядка на улицах города.
Public drunkenness is enough to warrant arrest.
Добрый день. Патрульно-постовая служба. Предъявите ваши документы.
А вы кто? Предъявите ваши документы.
These men are lucky to be let off with a warning.
Если страшная ситуация происходит, то просто коня пускаю на человека.
Будьте здоровы. Чао.
Before the communist revolution of 1917, the Cossacks were some of the Tsar's most feared enforcers. Under the Soviets, they were condemned as enemies of the state. Entire Cossack communities were wiped out. Now they've been re-enlisted by a Kremlin facing new threats.
То это вот те защитники Отечества, которые сегодня есть в России, даже если они сегодня не в строю армейском. Но по зову они могут первыми встать в первый эшелон. Им не нужно подготовки определенной. Они сегодня готовы защитить свою родину. Они вложились в окопы и не выходили.
General Gennady Troshev is President Vladimir Putin's Cossack envoy. The president has ensured the Cossack resurgence by formalising their status in law.
Мне он верит казачеству, и он верит в будущее российского казачества. И именно с возрождением российского казачества связывает и возрождение России.
There's a new generation of fighters ready to swell the ranks. They're taught the ways of their ancestors at dozens of Cossack schools across Russia. These students at the Don Cossack Cadet Academy are being groomed for a military career. In a country where many young men go to extremes to avoid conscription, Cossack youngsters are eager to serve.
Патриотизм – это то есть у него должна душа болеть за свою родину. Он должен как бы помогать своей стране. Ну, военная служба – это и есть тоже помощь своей стране.
For the Cossacks, defending the motherland is a sacred duty. Their actions on the battlefield are blessed by the Russian Orthodox Church. The modern Cossack stands guard at a religious frontier. Beyond their Orthodox Christian lands lies a patchwork of Muslim republics, home to violent Islamic extremism. Cossacks live on the edge of turmoil. Chechnya is just a day's drive away. The war there is close. And for those in the Kremlin, that makes the Cossacks Russia's frontline soldiers in their war on terror.
Я достану. Давайте по плану.
Ivan Bezuglich is a retired army colonel. These days he leads a new army, a force of 15,000 Cossacks in the southern region of Krimsk.
Ты когда будешь там, в Анапской? Ну, я тоже сейчас выезжаю, со мной люди, о которых мы говорили.
He's foregone the sabre and horse in favour of a mobile phone and beaten-up Lada, driven at breakneck speeds.
Ты смотри, только не наедь на автобус. Не наедь, все, за руль больше, чтоб не садился. Тебе нельзя садиться.
Господин атаман, казаки, станица Анапская для проведения.
Today he's presiding over a meeting to vote in a new Cossack officer. They won't allow us to witness the proceedings.
Не поехали, все, не будет, все. Все, goodbye. Давай. Okay, sorry.
The Cossacks' disdain for outsiders has a sinister side, as this video, filmed by Bezuglich's men, reveals. It records the revival of another Cossack ritual, organised racial persecution. Using their official powers, they harass a little-known Muslim minority, the Meshedian Turks. Turkish families are ordered to hand over their documents. But there's no remorse from the Cossack leading this campaign. To him, the Turks are second-class citizens.
Говорят, не бывает плохого народа. Ну, такого подлого, вот как турецкий, мы тут, так сказать, не встречали. Это редкость. Это то, что они делали здесь, как я уже сказал, это шокировало не только нас, казаков-воинов, но и жителей, которые здесь проживали.
The Meshedian Turks call another corner of the former Soviet Union home Georgia. Stalin ordered them out of there more than 60 years ago. Many fled east to Uzbekistan, but were forced out of there in the early 90s. Now, in Cossack territory, they're banned from schools, they can't get work, a pension or medical treatment. The Tedorov family has lived uneasily among the Cossacks for 15 years.
Но другое дело, что целые поколения, наши дети, вот вечно не могут быть изгоями. Сталинские репрессивные методы сейчас продолжаются все эти 62 года. К сожалению, в современной России тоже.
Savar Tedorov's family bears the scars of Cossack threats and violence. His nephew was beaten to death 2 years ago. A Cossack was convicted of the murder and given a sentence of just 3 years.
Абсолютно безобразном виде, живого места не было в лице, синяки, кровь, вся одежда была в крови, живого места не было. Его было видно по месту на перекрестке. Били его круговую. В 13 местах были кровяные пятна на земле. И легкий снежок такой был. Видно, как его били. Группа людей.
In this Cossack video, Colonel Bezuglich directly confronts Turkish community leader Savar Tedorov.
дебил поцивилизованно, блядь! Я не слушаю! Дебил как, нахуй, поцивилизованно! Цивилизатор, нахуй, иди нахуй, все! Вы нас ебете, детей наших ебете, ты поцивилизатор!
The colonel claims a Turkish man has attacked a Cossack child.
Мы только приехали, почему не хотите понять? Сейчас поедем, разберемся. И мы накажем, если это наш человек, мы накажем.
The Cossacks arrest 2 Turkish men who've tried to run away. The men counter with accusations of Cossack intimidation and theft. Another video, this one recorded by the Meshedian Turks, shows the aftermath of an earlier incident.
Вчера казаки напали, сбили.
И начали, один меня толкнул, я одного так за руку хотел, он сзади газовым баллоном или пистолетом.
Пистолетом, газовый пистолет.
И больше ничего я там
не увидел.
Colonel Bazuglik is unrepentant. He says the Turks occupy strategically important lands. They're a danger to the Russian state and must leave.
Если бы даже так не случилось, что в военно-политическом плане какие-то проблемы, и если бы турки здесь продолжали проживать и так, извините, размножаться, как они размножаются, через определенный промежуток времени здесь бы возник широкомасштабный межнациональный конфликт. Здесь бы было пролито много крови.
Ашхаду анна Мухаммадан Расулуллах. Ашхаду анна Мухаммадан Расулуллах.
The Meshedian Turks have been desperately searching for a way out. Their prayers have been answered. The United States has offered asylum to 10,000 Turks. It's recognised their situation as unbearable and taken them in as refugees of humanitarian concern. Some have already immigrated, many more are preparing to leave. Savar Tedorov says it's a matter of their very survival.
О выживании, точно. Но мы же не будем ждать, когда подойдут и будут в наших глазах стрелять каждого из нас или наших детей. Это целенаправленно идет подобное беззаконие, и просто надо быть слепцом и этого не видеть.
But Vladimir Putin's Cossack advisor plays down any claims of state-sponsored ethnic cleansing.
Обыкновенная драка, бытовуха, как мы называем. Поэтому не нужно это связывать с этим. Казаки мирно относятся ко всем.
Across Russia, the Cossack spirit is being handed down to a new generation. It's a volatile mix of nationalism and religious duty. For the Cossacks, there's no place in their land for those who are not ethnic Russian.
Если есть капелька какая-то, все равно она будет. Вот почему и я хочу сказать, что казачьему роду нет переводу. Где-то что-то все равно мы были, мы есть, мы будем. Вот так вот я хочу сказать на этот вопрос.
For now, the force is with the Cossacks. And for so long as Vladimir Putin rules the Kremlin, they have no reason to doubt that they will prevail.
And that's the program for tonight. Hi, I'm Peter Lloyd in Nepal. Next week on Foreign Correspondent, the mothers of the mountain. With just 12 days of training in basic health and nutrition, Tara has become the nearest thing to a local GP these villagers have ever seen. That's the power of mum, healing the sick, saving lives.
Hello, I'm Mark Willesee in Jerusalem. The Holy City is a magnet for foreign pilgrims.
Father! Why have you forsaken me?
But for some, the rapture is overwhelming and ultimately unhinging. the Jerusalem syndrome.
I am the New Jerusalem!
That's next week on Foreign Correspondent at 9:20 on Tuesday. And we welcome your comments on our website guestbook. That's abc.net.au/foreign. And a special note, we've had a huge response to last week's story from the Baghdad blogger. If you missed it or wish to see it again, it's now also on our website. Good night